No, you were not. You were fine. Take your time.
Okay.
We're almost settling in. I just turned on.
Okay.
It's just now, I think, 10:30 or pretty close. So Monday, the 18th. The 18th. So we're here for Gentle. So sit however's comfortable. You know you're welcome to sit up on blankets if that feels better for your hips. Let your eyes close. And if you need to shift around a little bit, do it. You need to kind of just move around to where you know that you're very comfortable, right? So that when you're able to close your eyes and lengthen upward, and let yourself really feel easy as you come into your breath, accepting your breaths in and out through your nose. And really let your eyes, all around your eyes, soften, all around your mouth. All across your forehead. And if you're comfortable, to come into those three-part breaths, inhaling into the belly, into your ribs, and then all the way up into your chest. Starting to let yourself move your torso in easy little circles with your breath. So as you exhale, come a little forward off to one side. Inhale as you come back, and then exhale as you head forward again on the other side. So you just keep circling in the same direction. And these can be really small circles if that feels better for your back, your hips, or you can go bigger and bigger if that feels good. And then we'll stop. We're going to reverse directions. So let yourself then just come into the other direction with those circles. And then the next time that you end up a little bit forward, stay there for a breath. And then we'll rise on back up, letting our arms come on out beside us here now. And let's inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And let our exhale bring our hands right down through the midline to rest in front of our chests. And then we'll reverse. Inhale the hands right up through the midline. And on the exhale, open the arms on back out and down. And now let your right ear tilt towards your right shoulder and let the right hand come a little farther away from you if you're on the floor, okay? And then allow that left arm to gradually start to rise out beside you, up overhead, left arm, sorry. And then as you can, come closer in towards your head with your arm, coming into side stretch there. Just breathing into the left side. And now use your core here to draw you back up. Think about your belly drawing you back up to the top. Lower that left arm down. And then tilt your left ear towards your left shoulder. Again, if you can let the left hand come farther out if you're on the floor. Gives you support. And then the right arm's going to start to float up. Take your time. Just really, as you ease your way into the arm coming closer to your head, come into the side waist there, breathing into the right side of the body. And now again, think about drawing your belly in a little bit to bring yourself back up, and we'll bring the arms on back down beside us. Inhaling here, and on the exhale, we'll twist to our right, bringing your left hand around, maybe all the way to your right knee. It depends on you. It can be more at the midline if that's better. So just waking up the spine here in a gentle twist. Lengthening upward through the top of your head. Good. One more breath. And on the exhale, come on back around through center. We're going all the way into the other direction. Again, your right hand can come to your left knee, or it can come to the midline. That's up to you. Let the left arm just release down, fingertips towards the ground if you're on the floor. Good. One more breath. Release to come on back into center, and let's float our arms up a little higher, and then bring your left arm on top of your right to give yourself a hug. Let your elbows melt down. You can hold wherever feels comfortable, kind of towards your armpits or up and over your shoulders. Let your chin come down towards your chest here, and then turn the head a little bit side to side so you find some release there for the neck. And then we'll come on back to center with the chin. Rise your head on back up. We're going to switch the arm that's on top. So take your time coming into that right arm being on top. And again, release. Really let your elbows release down. Bring your chin down towards your chest. Get comfortable where you're holding. If you need to lower your hands, do, right? And then turn your chin a little bit side to side if you can. If you find a really tight spot and you need to stay and feel the neck or the upper back release, sometimes right there between the shoulder blades on your back. And then we'll come back into center and rise the head on back up. Unfold your arms on here. We're going to switch the cross of our legs, so if you need to stretch your legs out before you do the other leg in front, do it, right? So that you get comfortable. Remember, when you cross your legs, whether you get your feet more under your knees or, you know, some people need to cross a little more towards their ankles, even putting blocks under your legs if you need them. I forgot to say that at the beginning. And then from here, come a little bit forward. Now, you don't have to have a deep forward bend here. Maybe you're just going to barely come forward with a nice long back. If you want your hands to give you support, do. If you feel like you want to go farther forward in this forward bend, by all means do. Think of coming forward from your low back, though. Let your head, if possible, release so that you don't have tension in your neck. Rather than lift your chin up, you're letting your neck release, letting the head hang, or keeping the back of your head in line with your spine. Good. One more breath here. And then we'll slowly walk ourselves on back up again. And let your hands come on out beside you. And let's inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And let our exhale bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. Lift your elbows up a little bit. Feel your wrists a little bit more there. And then lower your elbows down. Now you're going to inhale your hands up and see if you can draw your forearms towards each other. Doesn't matter how high up you come. Just try to get your forearms towards each other there. And then release to bring the hands back in front of the chest and lift your elbows up again. So let's inhale, rise the hands up. Think of drawing your forearms more towards each other. And then exhale, bring the hands down, lift the elbows up again. And then one more time, inhaling, rising up. And exhale, lowering down, lifting the elbows back up, feeling your hands gently together there. And then go ahead and release your hands on down. Shake them out a little bit, circle if you need to. We're going to come on to hands and knees. If you know you don't want to be on your hands and knees, get a chair, right? You can turn the seat of a chair around to face you. So you can decide whether it feels good to be down on the floor on your knees or not, right? So feet or knees are right underneath your hips. And take your time, get comfortable in your hands. If you need to come up onto fists, come up onto fists. If it feels better to put your hands on a blanket, you can roll a blanket up. Take your time, let yourself here, draw a nice inhale. And then as you exhale, draw the navel towards the spine and round up into your back. And on your next inhale, send your tailbone backing up and move your way back into your cow pose. So just easily feeling that flowing through the spine with your breath at your own speed. Stopping if you need to in cat or cow, staying there for a breath or two. Every day's a new day, isn't it? So amazing how this same movement through the spine one day can feel one way and the next, or even later in the day, different, right? So it's like you're waking up your spine. Appreciate that flexibility through the spine. Finish off the one you're on. And then we'll come back to that more neutral spine. And from here, we're going to bring our left foot forward and our right foot back and come into a lunge. Whether your hands are up on the blocks, remember, or the chair seat, or if you want to go lower on blocks, you can. You can use the highest, the middle, the lowest. You can have your hands up in the chair. Really enjoy now. Make sure that front knee is not bending out beyond your ankle. Opening up through the back of your right leg here. Now see, and you might need to get a little higher. See if you can straighten that left knee out. Sink backwards a little bit more with that right heel. Doesn't mean it's on the floor necessarily. Just let yourself feel a little bit more in the backs of both legs. And then bend that left knee again. Find your lunge again. And we're going to step forward from here. Get feet right underneath you. Bend your knees a little bit. And now we're going to step our left foot back and come into lunge on the other side. So again, letting yourself get that sense that you're on very narrow railroad tracks, remember? Really find that alignment of that front knee. You're not bending the knee beyond your ankle. Opening up the back of the leg here, feeling the calf. And then again, straightening into that right front knee, letting the hips shift back a little bit, and that heel just descending a little more down towards the ground, but it's still straight back from your foot. Good. One more breath. And then we'll bend that right knee again, come back into our lunge. And we're going to step forward and come back into standing forward bend. Feet hips distance apart and parallel. Take your time, use support underneath your hands if you need it. Or you can feeling the weight of your head. Good. So one more breath here. And then we'll let our hands come on up to our hips. We're going to bend our knees and rise up. And inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. So adjusting your way into mountain pose. And if that means like walking in place or kind of shaking yourself out a little bit, instead of trying to just lock yourself into place, kind of start to feel your feet on the floor equally. And imagine you're pressing the floor a little bit away from you. Let your arms just hang for a second. Feel your arms, and everybody's arms hang differently. I mean, some people's palms naturally turn forward. Some people's turn back. Some people's turn to face inward towards the body, right? So just be where you're easy to be. Enjoy being built the way you are. And then drawing up out of those rooted feet. Thighs gently engaging upward. Tailbone dropping down. Bringing your gaze on forward and out as though you're looking at the horizon. And then inhale, float your arms out, straight out from your shoulders, like you're the letter T. Reach out through your fingertips here. And now as you exhale, just bring your hands gently to meet right there in front of your chest, in front of your heart. Feeling the shoulders over the hips, feeling that sense of the head floating on top of your spine, easily chin about parallel to the floor. And then we'll let our arms unfold on down beside us. This time, let's inhale the arms all the way out and up overhead. And on the exhale, bend our knees and come forward into standing forward bend. Let your next inhale help you find a nice flat back, whether your hands are on your chair or your blocks or your shins. And we'll step the right foot back and come into lunge. So finding that lunge again, this time start to press your feet a little bit away from each other like you're trying to lengthen your mat. Engage the belly, zip up your low belly a little bit. And then we'll come on into a downward facing dog pose. So it is your choice, whether your hands are up on blocks or a chair or down on the floor. Finding that sense now, walk a little bit, finding that sense of starting to lengthen through your spine. And then of course, when you're in your down dog, backs of the legs naturally open up. Feel your shoulders as you hug the elbows in towards each other. And let your next inhale bring you on out towards a plank. And then you don't have to go into a full plank if you don't want. You can come to your forearms and do a forearm plank. You can put your knees down and do a half plank. See if you can find a little bit of core here. And then we'll come on back into down dog. So again, take your time. Ease your way here into your dog. If you need to walk or bend both your knees, do. And then we'll bring our right foot forward to find our lunge. Now you can put your left knee down if you need to get into the lunge with the right foot forward here now. Press the feet gently away from each other. Engage your belly. Think about your shoulders coming down away from your ears. And then we'll come on back into standing forward bend again. Feet hips distance apart and parallel. Let yourself release again to where you need. Use support if you need, or let yourself hang if that's possible. Nice full deep breaths. And now letting your hands come on back to your hips, bend your knees and rise on up. We're going to inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. Let's inhale our hands right up through the midline. And on the exhale, open the arms like wings as you fold forward from your hips into your standing forward bend. And let your next inhale help you find that flat back. Again, whatever surface your hands want to be on to find a flat back. And then we'll step left foot back to come into lunge. So take your time, really find that lunge again. Find that alignment of that front knee. Draw your shoulders down. Good. And we'll come on back into another downward facing dog pose. So again, it is up to you. Sometimes it feels good to change the height of your hands. Like if you want to move the blocks a little bit, or if you're like, I just want to be up higher, you can use the seat of a chair. Or even the back of a chair. So again, finding that sense of length through the spine, reaching back through your tailbone. Good, and then we're going to come on out towards that plank again. And if you need to put your knees down, do. If you need to get out of your hands, out of your wrists, you can come to your forearms. Some of you may want to bend your elbows, do a little bit of a push-up, or if you want to do full push-ups, go for it. And then we'll make our way back again into downward facing dog pose. And we will bring our left foot forward this time. So again, if you need to put your right knee down in order to come into your lunge, do. And then coming on back into standing forward bend. And those of you who are fine to hold your elbows because that feels like a relief and it feels good, do that. If not, support. Whatever you need for your back. Elbows above the knees, hands on blocks of the chair. Now following your breaths all the way in and all the way out. See if you can let yourself really feel the breath. Coming fully and deeply. Expanding the ribs as you inhale. Let your face soften. Let go of your jaw. And then we'll bring our hands up to our hips, bend our knees. We're going to rise up and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. Let's unfold our arms. Clasp your hands behind you here. At first, just slide your hands down as far as you can. Right? Let your arms, don't lock your elbows, but let the arms come fairly long. See if you can make sure you're not tucking your tailbone forward, right? So you're sending your tailbone down towards between your heels. There's a little bit of a curve there, natural curve in the low back. Inhaling here. And then as you exhale, bend your knees and come forward to where you're parallel to the floor with your body, right? So you've got a 90-degree angle there at your hips. Knees can be as bent as you need. Really reach back through your tailbone. One more breath here. Really feel your thighs. And then if you want to fold forward, more do. Coming into a standing forward bend. You're more than welcome to stay up higher. And if your arms will come it all the way from your back, you can release your arms off your back a little bit. And then we'll release, arms on down, and on your next inhale, find that nice long flat back. And from here, we're going to step our way into a down dog. So your hands go to the surface you like to use, and you can walk your way back into your downward facing dog pose. Elbows hug in a little bit. Bend your knees if you need to. Walk your dog a little bit if you need to. Let your head turn a little side to side if you're feeling a little tension in your neck. And then we'll come on out to plank. It is optional to do a back bend here. You don't need to. You can stay in plank. If you're on the floor, you can come onto your forearms and do a sphinx pose, a little cobra. You can come through for an up dog if you choose, or no back bend at all. And then we'll make our way back into downward facing dog pose. Again, take your time. Let yourself feel your breath here in your down dog. And on the next inhale, we're going to do that same thing. Come back out towards that plank. Again, it is optional to do a back bend. If you decide you want to come down to the floor and go up onto your forearms, you can do a sphinx. You can stay in your plank. And then we'll make our way back again into downward facing dog pose. And we'll bring our right foot forward this time to come into lunge. And then we'll come all the way back into our standing forward bend again. Feet right underneath us. Check out your feet. Make sure your feet are pretty parallel. And see if you can feel the four corners of your feet reaching down into the ground. Use what support you need, but really feel the weight of your head. One more breath. And then we'll bring our hands to our hips. We'll bend our knees and rise on up to standing. Inhaling our arms all the way out and up. And as you exhale, let your left arm come down. Reach up through the right side of the body here. Now really feel your right foot in the floor. And then come over into side stretch. Let yourself really enjoy. Feel like you're very equal through your feet, but particularly pressing down into that right foot. And then next inhale, bring the left arm on up. Come back to center. And as we exhale, we'll go to the other side. Now really feel your left foot pressing into the floor. Opening up through the left side. Good, and then we'll come on back up. Both arms up overhead. Turn your pinkies a little towards each other. Let yourself bring your gaze up a little if you can. Feel your tailbone dropping right down towards between your heels. And as you exhale, let your hands come right down through the midline to be right in front of your chest. Find your mountain pose. Spread your fingers a little bit. Feel very balanced between the front and the back of your body. And same thing between the right and the left side. And then we'll go ahead and unfold our arms. Shake out just a little bit. Move around if you need to. And we're gonna come into some warriors. So if you have a chair, you might wanna turn it around. But have your blocks handy here at the front of your mat, so you will have them. You definitely might need them. Actually, those of you at home, instead of turning your chair that way, let the seat of the chair face you if you can, okay? And we'll step forward towards the front of our mat. Get your feet underneath you, so coming back to your mountain pose, really. And then we're gonna step our right foot back and come into warrior one with our shoulders still square to the wall, the front of our mat here, right? And as you bend your left knee, look down at it. Make sure you're not letting that knee go out beyond your toes. If you need to, you can lengthen your stance a little bit. And then bring your hands behind you. You can either hold a wrist, you can hold forearms, you can hold your elbows if you want to go that far. But let yourself just bring that right shoulder around so you're really square. You're looking right directly forward. That back foot is turned out maybe 20 or 30 degrees. Nice breaths. Inhaling into the belly and then the ribs and then up into your chest. When you exhale, think of the breath coming out of the chest, then the ribs, then the belly. And then we'll release our arms on down and inhale our arms forward and rise them up. Now they can go into a wider V if you're more comfortable. Let your pinkies turn towards each other. If you want to bring your gaze up a little bit, do. Feel that lift in the belly. It's a release of the back. One more breath. And then release our arms on down beside us. We're going to straighten that front left knee out. And we're going to come forward, bringing our hands down for pyramid, either to a chair seat, or you can use your blocks, any height, right? So once you get your hands down for the surface you're using, you can adjust the stance. That back heel is fully on the floor. Thighs are engaging upwards. You're extending your torso out really nice and long, out over that front leg. And just try to feel the four corners of the feet. If you can lift your toes up, briefly do. That back foot's come hard. And then just come into your breath. If you feel like you want to fold a little bit more over this front leg, you can. You can bend your elbows and let yourself fold forward a little bit, or you can stay long. It depends on how it feels to you. So one more breath there. Now come on up a little more parallel to the floor. Bend your left front knee and step forward to get both feet right underneath you. Hands right under your shoulders, right? Whether they're on the blocks or the chair. Feet a little closer together and bend both your knees. So you're centered. Now just lift your right foot up off the floor. Your knees are side by side. And then as you inhale, stretch that right leg back into a warrior three. Toes are pointing down. Any of you who want to release your left arm forward, you can, but you don't have to. Hold on for dear life if you need to. Just let yourself feel that supporting leg and hip. Engage the belly. One more breath. And then bringing the hand and the foot back down if the hand was up. We're going to bend our knees, press into our feet, and rise up to standing. And inhale the arms all the way out and up. And on the exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Take a breath in mountain pose here. Feel very easily balanced there, front to back, side to side. If you need to sway around a little bit, sway around a little bit. And then we'll release our arms. Shake them out a little bit. We're going to do the other side. So again, as you step towards the front of your mat, and you just step that left foot back. You know, some of us, it's better to separate a little bit, like we're on really narrow railroad tracks. You got to be comfortable in your hips to when your shoulders come around square, you don't feel any undue pressure or discomfort in that back knee. So you can bring your hands behind you, either just like letting the arms stay longer. You can fold them and let yourself hold up more to your forearms or your elbows. Just be comfortable. Be able to breathe easily. Inhaling into the belly, into the ribs, then all the way up into your chest. Think about those breaths when you exhale, coming out of your chest first, then your rib cage, then your belly. And then we'll release our arms, and we're going to inhale the arms forward and up. Again, we're all different. You may need to leave your arms forward more. You may be fine to bring your arms up more by your ears. Let your pinkies turn a little towards each other. If you feel okay to look up a little bit, do. Feel that lift in the front of the body. So there shouldn't be any feeling in the low back of pressure. The belly is lifting. There's a lengthening downward feeling of that top left buttock muscle there. One more breath. And then we're going to release arms on down. Straighten that front knee out. Coming on forward and down with our hands either to a chair or to the blocks, right? Now take your time. You might need to adjust how long your stance is here. You're trying to keep your hips fairly level, right? Back heel is fully on the floor. Again, if you can lift your toes up, that'll kind of tell you if you're rolling, especially that right foot often wants to roll to the outside, and the back foot sometimes wants to roll to the inside, but try to see if you can get as even as you can. And then go ahead, let the toes come back down. You can stay nice and long out over that front leg. If it feels good to let yourself bow a little more over the front leg, do. Good. One more breath here, letting the backs of the legs just feel that great openness. And now come up again, more parallel to the floor. We're going to bend the right knee, step forward with the left foot, get our feet right underneath us. Maybe a little bit closer, and bend the knees a little bit so that when you pick the left foot up, you feel like you're in the right spot with your right supporting leg, okay? And then when you inhale, stretch that leg back behind you. Toes are facing down. It can be lower. You can look back and see your foot, let it. Toes are facing down, or you can be parallel to the floor with your leg. And you can decide about whether reaching that right arm forward feels like a good idea or not. So keep the hands down if you need. Let yourself enjoy coming into that strong supporting leg. One more breath. And then we'll bring our foot on and hand back down. Get your feet right underneath you. Press into your feet as you rise on up to standing, and we'll inhale the arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. Find your mountain pose again. Come back to your breath. Nice. And then let your arms come on down. Shake out a little bit if you need to. Walk around if you need. I'm going to turn my chair around. So if you do have a chair and you want a little bit of support, you can let your chair turn that way. And we're going to step our right foot back and come into Warrior Two this time, so that the right foot's about parallel to the back edge of your mat, and the left foot is about parallel to the long side of your mat. And then bend that left knee. Look down, make sure you're positioned well there. And then just bring your hands together in front of your heart. So feel that right shoulder now drawing back a little bit. And we'll release our arms on down. And now as you inhale your arms straight out, take a little peek back over your right hand. Make sure it's right back from your shoulder. And then slowly turn your gaze to look out now all the way over the top of your left hand. So you're looking forward, feeling that back arm reaching directly towards the wall behind you, and the front hand reaching forward. One more breath. And now we're going to turn that left palm up and inhale, reach up towards the sky with the left hand. Nice breath into the left side. And on your exhale, come into your side angle. So your left hand or forearm can go onto your thigh or your chair. And then if you want to add the right arm up into line, you can. But it's fine to keep that hand down. You know, you can keep the hand on your hip. You can just lie the arm on the side of the body. Keep length through the spine here and through both sides of your body. And we're going to come on back into Warrior Two from here. Pressing the feet gently away from each other to get right back up. And then we'll let our arms come down. And we're going to find a lunge here. So you can use your blocks, you can use your chair. Release that right heel directly behind you now. Find your lunge, just your normal lunge. And then bring your left hand to your left hip and start to rotate to look to your left. You can keep your hand down on your back, or you can stretch that left arm up if you choose. Finding that twist in your lunge. One more breath. And then we'll come on back down with that left hand. We're going to step forward, get our feet right underneath us. And then we'll bend our knees and rise on up and inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, come back down with the hands. Let yourself find your mountain pose. If you need to shift around a little bit, do. And imagine inhaling up the front of your body and exhaling down the back of your body. Good, and then we'll release, let our arms come on down, shake it out a little bit. We are going to go the other side. So again, coming into Warrior Two with the left foot back this time. So again, having your chair handy there, your blocks, and lining up your heels. And again, as you think about, so they call this side-facing warrior, right? So Warrior One, you're trying to get your shoulders square to the front. This pose, totally different. You're kind of reaching your left shoulder back, your right shoulder forward. Bring your hands to your heart for a second. Let yourself feel centered there. And then unfold your arms. Let the arms rise up and see if you can just look back over your left arm if possible. You know, if this bothers your shoulders, you don't have to put your arm up at all. And then you can turn your gaze to look right out over the top of your right hand. Feel the feet pressing gently away from each other. Let yourself soften the shoulders down. And then we'll turn that right palm up. And we're going to inhale, reach up towards the sky. The left hand can just give you a little support back there on your left leg. And on your next exhale, come into that side angle where you either put your right hand or forearm onto your thigh or your chair. Right? You can have it here on your thigh. You can go lower if you want to your forearm. And whether you add that top arm or not, totally up to you and your shoulder. So sometimes it feels better to bring the hand straight up, which is fine. Or bring the arm in closer towards the head, letting the pinky turn down. One more breath. And then we're going to come on back into Warrior Two. Press those feet gently away from each other to get you right back into your Warrior Two. And now to come into your lunge, you use the support you want underneath your hands. It might be that you want blocks, you might want your chair. Let yourself find that lunge here. And then letting the right hand come on up and onto your low back, rolling that right shoulder up if you can. Think of staying fairly level here. Try to find the twist in the middle of the back. If you're going to rise that right arm up, you're more than welcome to. Good. One more breath. And then come on back down with that right hand. And we're going to step forward and get our feet right underneath us. Let your knees soften a little bit. See if you can, whether your hands are hanging down or you have support, let your torso just shift a little bit from side to side. You know, and that might mean your hips shift a little bit too. That's fine. Just let yourself release a little bit there. And then come on back into center. Full deep breaths. Soft through your face. Let go of your jaw. One more breath. And then we'll bring our hands on up to our hips as we bend our knees. We'll rise up to standing. And inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, come on into that mountain pose, lengthening up through the top of your head. Feeling the space in your spine, feeling that lightness really in your head. Remember, you don't want to lock your knees. You do want to feel the thighs gently lifting upward, but the feet reaching downward. And then we'll unfold our arms on down and shake out a little bit. Move whatever you need to. We're going to bring our mats all the way into a wall from here. So take your time. Let yourself come on in. And we're going to use our straps. So grab your strap. And let's bring our left shoulder towards the wall. Okay? So we are going to work a little bit. Now, try to think about this being like for your core instead of your legs. So as you step your strap, the ball of the foot, right foot into the strap, you know, you can have it on the floor and just step on it about halfway into the strap, right? And then bring the right foot up a little bit in front of you. Bend your knee like you're stepping up a step. You can keep holding onto the wall. Now when you do that, make sure you're not throwing your shoulders back, which is pretty typical. Think of it, your shoulders being right over your hips. Now you can straighten that leg out if you want. Keep it low. If you feel like rising the left arm up or just taking the hand off the wall, right? You can bring the arm up overhead, or you can like still hold the wall but kind of experiment with letting go every once in a while. And then take your time, put your hand back, bring the leg out a little bit to the side. Rotate your heel forward a little bit. Coming into that outward hip rotation. Again, if you want to balance a little bit there, you can think of balancing. Press into the strap with the ball of your foot. And now bring the foot back to the front. Now, bend your right knee, put your foot behind you, and bring your strap over your shoulder, which usually means the strap ends up on the top of your foot or maybe your ankle. If you point your foot, it's a little bit easier, right? And now from here, press down. There's your quad right there. And that might be all you want to do. If you want to balance, you can let go of the wall. Let yourself bounce a little bit there. Some of you might even want a more challenge. Put your right hand over your head with the strap, holding onto the strap, and then reach over and hold on with your left hand too. All right, that's optional. Even bringing the knee back a little bit, coming a little bit forward too if you want. You can do that. And then we're going to release. Let that come on down. Undo your strap from your foot. Shake it out a little bit because your left leg is probably going to tell you a little bit of something's going on there. And now let's come to the other side. So stepping the left foot into the strap. Ball of the foot. Right hand on the wall like you're stepping up a step. Lift that foot up if you can. Now take your time here. You may just want to stay right there. If you can straighten the leg out and it feels good to balance a little bit, do. Bringing your gaze to a spot that you can focus on. Putting your hand back to the wall if you need. And now hand to the wall so you can open that leg a little bit out to the side. It's about, for most of us, a 45-degree angle. Rotating that heel forward. Lifting up in the front of that right hip. And again, if you want to balance there, you can bring the right arm overhead or just kind of experiment with taking your fingers off the wall a little bit. And then we're going to bring the foot back to the front. And then bend your knee. Bring your strap over your shoulder if you can. And again, you can press down into that strap with your ankle or the top of your foot. And then you can decide, well, do I want to try to balance a little bit here or not? Don't have to. Again, some of you might want to bring the strap over your head. Maybe even letting your hands come to hold on to the strap. That is certainly all optional and not necessary. Good. One more breath. And then we're going to release and come on down. Yes, let that strap go there. And now come on back to your mat and come either into your elbows above your knees to squat a little bit here, or go lower if you want to, right? So if you feel like it, you can come all the way down. If you feel squat feels really good to you in your low back and your hips, and your knees, right? It's not for everybody. And sometimes just keeping your feet apart and your heels up feels better too. So don't push it. Good. Now we're going to come down to sit on the floor. So from here, if you're down lower, you can just keep on going, right? Grab a block if you need and a blanket to sit on. Stretch your legs on out in front of you for a second and kind of flip-flop your legs around a little bit. Maybe even do little leg bounces, anything that feels good there. And then we're going to bring your right ankle into above your knee for a second. And now see if from here, and don't force anything here, if you can just bring your hands to where you can lift that leg in towards you, your lower leg, right? Flex through that right foot a little bit. Good. And then just imagine you're making circles here in the hip joint, right? It's like you're stirring the pot, really. Just letting yourself release into these circles and let your arms and your hands do the work, right? So you're trying to let go instead of holding your hip. And then see if you can reverse those circles. Go the other way. And then see if you can just rock back and forth. Now some of you, your hips might be built where it feels really good to bring the leg in really close to you. And that has nothing to do with anything except how you're built. So just let it rock, let yourself release there. Good, one more breath. And then bring the foot on down to the floor and see if you can just bow your head forward. Go ahead and round a little bit in your back. Let yourself find a little relief there. Good, and then we're going to stretch the right leg long and we're going to bring the left ankle in to, again, above that right knee if you can. Flex the foot, start to reach over, get hold of the outside edge of your foot and the outside of your knee there and bring it on up in again towards you. Now, already try to let go. I know it's easier said than done. So, and your leg is heavy, so this is kind of a lot for your arms, right, and your shoulders. So do those stirring the pot, that kind of circling motion. And then reverse that circle. So you're going to go the other direction and really try to let yourself let go. And sometimes it's funny, one side will cooperate a lot more than the other as far as being able to release, right? And then stop back at center and again, see if you can just rock the baby back and forth. And again, you can get close in. If you're built as such that feels good, you can draw it in closer to you. Good. And now we're going to put that left foot down on the floor. And again, just let your head bow. Let yourself release there. Good. And now come on in to bringing the soles of your feet towards each other here. In for Baddha Konasana. Now, at first, let's do this. Like, sit with your feet fairly far out in front of you. You've got like a diamond shape, right? Right there. And then come a little bit forward from there. So you're really feeling pretty easy. Doesn't matter where your knees are. They may be way up high. If you feel really uncomfortable and you'd rather grab your blocks and put them underneath your knees like that, do it. Especially if you feel any kind of tweakiness in your knees or your hips, right? Just ease your way a little bit forward. You can let your head hang if you want. And then rise back up. Take your hands behind you. Keep your feet where they are. And then see if you can lift yourself up and slide a little closer to your feet. Doesn't have to be much. And then bring your hands back again to your ankles there and see about coming a little bit forward. And again, if you're feeling iffiness in your hips now, because it's getting a little more intense for your knees, then put blocks underneath the outside of your knees there. Let go of your jaw and your face. One more breath. Good, and now come on up and see if you can lean backwards a little bit and pick your feet up off the floor. Now, that is core right here. Immediately your belly and your low back engages. This might be all you want to do, and if you're feeling any discomfort or pain in your back, bring your feet back down and let yourself release. If you want more, you can either try to wrap your hands around your feet a little bit. You can let your feet come apart and balance, right? Now you can keep the knees bent Or you can think about, well, I kind of want to come a little straighter. Just be careful you don't roll backwards and bang your head into the wall. And you can always hold lower too. You can hold the outside of your legs. Good. One more breath. And then we're going to bend our knees, bring our feet down, bring your knees together, and round a little bit again in your low back for a second. Let yourself release there. Good. And then bring your hands behind you and separate your feet. Really wider on your mat. And like for you all, probably to the outside edges of your mat. And then let your knees come over to one side. Doesn't matter which one. And just stay there for a breath. Imagine, if you want, you can lift your top hand up and kind of shift that front hip, top hip, a little more forward, right? So you find a little more openness in the front of the hip. And then you can come back to center and you can go to the other side. So again, you can just let the knees come down, or you can lift that hand off and kind of give yourself just a little more here in the front of your hip. So let's go back to the first side. Doesn't matter which one it was, just take your time. Let yourself release there. And then we'll come back again up with the knees, and then all the way over, and again, if you can find a little bit more to do. Good. And then come on back. Bring your legs on out in front of you. And we're going to come on down. Now, you all face the wall that are here in the studio. With your head. You're going to come onto your bellies, but usually your head is this way. See if you can let your head be towards the wall on your belly. Right? There you go. So that when you come up into Sphinx pose, you're staring at the wall. Elbows underneath the shoulders. Good. Good. And maybe look a little bit more forward if you can. Be mindful. And then bring your hands together. Interlace your fingers. You decide whether a half forearm plank or a full forearm plank sounds any good to you. So you can bend your knees, come up to the flesh above your knees, coming up into that half forearm plank, or you can put your toes down, lift yourself up, lifting the knees up, coming into that full forearm plank. Just enjoy a couple of breaths there, feeling that core body. And then release back down. Find your Sphinx pose again. So draw the palms down. Let your forearms be parallel to each other. And now lower down. Bring your hands right back so that they're by your upper chest. Palms down to the floor. Hug your elbows inward. And on your next inhale, rise your head up a little bit. There's the cobra pose. That's a cobra. You don't have to be straight arms. You don't have to come all the way up to be in a cobra. Release your head back down. Breathe into your low back. And then the next time you inhale, try to rise up again. Maybe you can use your hands this time. Maybe you want to come up a little higher. Actually, sometimes it feels better to come up higher. So it's up to you whether you want to bring yourself up higher or not. Feel your elbows gently hugging in. And we are going to shift back from here in towards child's pose. So let the big toes come together, the knees separate as much as you want. You're more than welcome to stay somewhat forward onto your forearms, especially if your knees or your hips tell you not to do this. You stay forward or release your hips back. Bring your arms to a very comfortable place for you. So you might want your hands under your head, you might want your arms overhead and soft, or you might want your arms back alongside your legs, turning your palms up. Just nice, easy, full, deep breaths. Good. One more breath. And then, letting your hands come back, we are going to, right now, just lie on our backs on the floor. So you're right here, whatever works for you to be able to come on down. Bring yourself on down and around onto your back. Let your knees be bent. Let your feet be on the floor. Good, and then let your knees just come from side to side. So just easily. In fact, you can even like roll through to one shoulder. Like sometimes for me, I like to give myself a hug and let knees come one way and let myself roll all the way through to that back of that shoulder, that side I'm going to. That's up to you. Just play a little bit. Just enjoy the ground supporting you, right? Good. And then let your knees come on back into center. Bring them into the chest for a second. Let yourself just release there. And then we're going to set up for a little bridge pose. So bringing your feet back to the floor a little bit wider than you have in your mountain pose. Letting the feet be fairly parallel. Let your arms go long for a second. And take your time. Turn your palms down towards the ground. You've got your arms right alongside your body. And now just take a couple of breaths here. Feel your feet in the floor. And lift just your heels up from here. Press into the feet. And then bring the heels on back down and lift just your toes up. Find the four corners of the feet there into the floor. And then let your toes come down. We're going to bend our elbows and let our palms turn to face each other like your robot. Press into the back of your arms and start to float up into bridge pose. Now once you come up in bridge, if you feel like you don't have your feet in the right place, come down and reposition. Once you get up, if you can roll your shoulders under you more, do. Feeling that openness in the front of the body. You'll feel your quads. You'll feel the top buttock muscles lengthening down towards your knees. And you do not have to be high in a bridge pose to be benefiting. You can be an inch off the floor. So take your time. You can move up and down if that's better for you. So if staying up in bridge pose feels very uncomfortable, don't do it. You can move up and down. You can also get a block if you would rather and be in supported bridge. So really be mindful. Take your time if you'd like the supported bridge. Take your time to stay there if that feels better to you, so that you're just letting your low back release. And then when you're ready to come down, be really mindful, letting yourself release your hips down to the floor. Once you get down, bring your right knee in towards your chest and extend your left leg down long on the floor, flexing through both feet. You can hold on your shin or you can hold behind your right thigh. Feel the right leg just gently coming into your hands. And then we'll bring the left knee in, and we're going to stretch the right leg down long on the floor. So again, wherever you hold that left leg, feel it gently pressing into your hands. Your arms come a little bit longer. That natural curve is in your low back. Good. And then bring both knees in towards your chest. And stretch the legs up towards the ceiling. Now you can, if you like, bring your arms wherever feels comfortable. You can go back and forth like you're cross-country skiing on the ceiling, or you can do just old-fashioned bicycle if you want, right? Just let yourself move through your legs up there, whatever you want to do. You know, you can stretch long, you can open them wide and close them, you can come into that back and forth movement or bicycling. Just take your time. Let your feet roll around a little bit too if you can. Move through your ankles. Start to listen to what your body wants really right now. Is there some other movement it wants to do? Any any other pose. Doesn't have to be a yoga pose. It can be any kind of a movement. Anything that's going to help you feel easier to be able to relax for your Shavasana, which means you want your body to be more comfortable, right? So if you need another hip release, if you need to do like a figure 4 hip release, or crossing a thigh over, one thigh over another, by all means, take your time. If you need a twist, so if you need to let yourself come into any kind of a twist or roll up into a little ball, I'm going to come around and get lights. So here at the studio, I'll be looking for who might want to bolster. I have a few inklings, but I will look for somebody to raise a hand if gotcha. So be comfortable at home too. You know, grab blankets, whatever you need to. You need to let yourself put a blanket under the back of your head. If you feel good to have a blanket rolled up underneath your knees. Just be mindful of having the support you need to enable you to relax, to release through your shoulders and your hips. Starting to be just mindful of watching your breath. Watching your breath in and out. And just keep coming back to that gentle wave of your own breath. And as your body and your mind find those quiet places, and you keep coming back to your breath, it becomes easier and easier. So just allow yourself these few minutes to completely and fully relax. awareness to feeling the physical movement as you breathe in and out. Feel your belly. You might even want to put your hands on your belly. Take your time. Just let those deeper breaths bring you back into feeling physical, into wanting to move again. Whether you need to stretch or bend, let your body take its time. Don't feel like you're rushing. Feel like you have all the time in the world here. And you know you're welcome to stay on your back or roll to either your right or your left side if that's comfortable for you. You might want to stay on your side a little bit. You might not. Just be mindful. And just be easy so that when you do feel like you're ready to rise up, you feel ready to get back up again, to have your head up there above your heart. You want to sit comfortably, so if you need to adjust your legs, by all means do. Use support if you need it, anything you need to sit on, or support under your knees. Close your eyes again if they opened on your way up, and just come back to watching your breath going in and out through your nose. Feeling re-energized here by all you just did. And on your next exhale, let your hands come to meet right there in front of your chest, in front of your own heart. And wishing each one of you a very joyful day. Namaste. Happy Monday.